Hey, this is Travis with Waconda Boats, and we're going to try and get another Q&A video here for you. First question we have is, we want to, probably the most common question I get, we answer this almost every day. Guys will call in and ask, the 1875 crossover versus the 1875 Impact XS. Those are two very, very popular models, and most guys looking at one are going to compare the other. And so I'm going to try and go over kind of the basic differences between the two. And I'm going to try not to be biased because like I've said in our videos before, that 1875 crossover is my favorite boat. What I love about that boat probably more than anything is how much our customers love it. It's just so versatile. I've said before, it checks all the boxes. I have a local guy that has won tournaments with that boat, and then he'll take his kids out and do water sports, the next Sunday. So it's so I'm going to try not to be biased here. So I'm going to kind of give you the details between the two because they are similar. They're both versatile. They do similar things. So let's talk about the crossover first. The main advantages I would say to the crossover versus the Impact, there's three things. So the crossover is deeper. It's a deeper boat. I didn't even realize this. The crossover is as deep as the Tyee is. If you actually measure from the deck to the top of the gunnel, it's as deep as, say, the 1875 Tyee is. So it's a nice deep boat. It's got wider gunnels, so you're going to have a little bit more gunnel storage per se. And then I guess the two other things that kind of sets it apart, and if you go to the videos, guys, it'll give you a visual of what I'm trying to explain. But the crossover has a big multi-storage compartment in the center of the floor. And it is the only aluminum boat that I've ever seen that has that. So this allows families to either stack that with skis or water toys or rods and fishing tackle, things like that. The other thing the crossover has, which is similar to the Tyee, is a bow conversion. So the bow conversion means there's a bow plate that slides out, which will open that bow up, allowing you to seat passengers up there comfortably while you're on plane underway. So again, that just kind of adds to the versatility of the crossover. So the way I try and break this down is for customers that are looking at both. Again, if you saw our first Q&A video, I go through these questions. We got to answer these questions we have. If a guy tells me that they're going to be fishing 70% of the time and they're going to do water sports 30% or have to entertain extra passengers 30% of the time, I think the crossover has an added benefit there, again, because of the bow conversion. It's just a little bit more versatile because of that. But the flip side of that is, if I have a family that's going to be fishing 90% of the time or some of them 100% of the time, you could argue that the Impact's a little bit more fishable, okay? And the reason I say that is it has a bigger bow. It's got a little bit bigger bow, and you'll see this from the videos. It's got a little bit larger dedicated rod box, so when you lift that rod box up on the bow, there's more tubes there. So it's not quite as deep, and some people look at that as an advantage versus a disadvantage. Like guys that are really serious fishermen or fishing tournaments understand that having shorter gunnels, you're catching less wind, so it's a little bit easier to hold your position trolling, or if you're anchored down and things like that, a little bit easier to land fish. So that's kind of how I break down those two models for customers. If they're 90%, 95% fish, that Impact might fit them a little bit better. But again, if you're a family that still wants a little bit deeper boat, a little bit more versatile, you can't beat the crossover. You really can't. So where am I at time-wise there? 4 minutes. Okay. So that hopefully helps you break down. That's basically when somebody calls me and asks me the difference between the two. Those are the differences. And I hate to throw in my personal opinions, but normally when guys, for 90% of my customers, I think the crossover it fits. The crossover always fits more so than the Impact in a lot of cases. I'll just say that. The next comparison question I get is, we're going to kind of shift gears, the 2025 Impact XS versus the 1975 Pro V Sport. Okay, those are very, very similar models, and normally one guy that we've narrowed down, they're going to look at both and compare both because they're similar. Basically, they are the same as far as dimensions go. They're both 20-foot boats. They're both about 98 inches wide. there's three main differences between the two boats. And again, if you guys check out the videos, you can get a visual of what I'm trying to explain here. So let's take the 2025 Impact. So main differences are the gunnels. The 2025 Impact, you're going to notice, has a narrower gunnel. And some people like that because it kind of opens up the cockpit a little bit. So you have more open space. You can lay rods down on top of that bottom storage. Some guys prefer the Pro V gunnel because being thicker, it's going to have more storage. So you have that lockable side storage on a Pro V, and the gunnels is of course wider, so you can, you know, set up there, things like that. Now it does take away some of your fishability space in the cockpit, so it really kind of just depends on what a guy values more. The other main difference is going to be the seating in the aft, right? So the 2025 Impact has the integrated flip seats that you'll see from the video. Those seats just fold up. On the Pro V, if you want aft seats, which we stock the aft flip seats on our 1975s, and you'll see this from the video, those seats actually fold forward. So they fold forward and back. They're not integrated in the casting deck. So again, some guys prefer one to the other. If I was going to say an advantage or a disadvantage, the Impact jump seats don't take up any extra space, right? So you just have your casting deck, and then they just fold up as seats. The Pro V aft seating, when they fold down, the advantage to that is you've got a lot bigger casting deck in the back, although they do take up space in the cockpit. But they're designed really well, and we kind of explained this in the video, because those seats will fold up independently, and so you can have your cockpit opened up, say on the starboard side, and closed down on the port side, depending on how a guy's fishing. So it is very versatile, but those are the main differences between those two boats. So a lot of guys will ask me about ride, and I've been on the water with both models multiple times. I can't see a difference in the ride. They both ride excellent. They're basically the same hull. The difference is basically in the interior layout. So just remember, when you're looking at those videos, you'll want to really see what the differences are. So again, you have narrower gunnels on the Impact. You have integrated jump seats on the Impact. And then, well, one other thing, I guess, the Impact is also deeper. It's slightly deeper than the Pro V. So for guys that want a little bit deeper boat, that's kind of hard to see from the video, but there's about 2.5 inches difference in depth between an Impact and a Pro V. So hopefully that helps, so you can kind of, when you see the videos or you're comparing the two models, look at those features, because that's the main difference. Other than that, the hull's pretty much the same. So I hope this video helps, and we'll try and keep these videos going as we get questions in. You guys send us questions, we'll try and get them answered for you. Thanks a lot.